If you like horror, hit that notification bell, smash that like button, and push that subscribe button now.
What's the boogeyman?
Hello, Sydney.
Welcome to my nightmare. We want the man who did this.
Welcome to Nick Push's Horror Channel.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Halloween Ends weekend. It's Saturday night. Movie's been released, a little over 48 hours now. I saw it on Thursday night. I know a lot of you have seen it between Thursday and now. If you're watching this, I assume you have seen the movie. If not, we're going to be talking spoilers, so you might want to tune out. Obviously, a fucking polarizing, divisive movie, and that is being kind. But with that, it's given us a lot to talk about. If you've watched some of my two reviews I've had out, spoiler and non-spoiler, you'd see that I'm relatively high on this movie compared to most people. So I enjoyed what I saw, but there's a big asterisk with that, right? We'll get into it in a little bit here. But if you're watching after the fact and if you're in the chat tonight, I want to hear from you guys. I want you to tell me your favorite part of this movie and your least favorite part of this movie. That's what kind of we're going to be going over. We'll get into a lot of things, whatever you guys want to talk about in the chat. But yeah, there was some strange directions that this movie took. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I know a lot of you are. I know people are going crazy right now, and in some respects, rightfully so. It's a movie, and kind of all our fears from the rumors we heard leading up to this movie ended up being true. Whether it's the fact that there's a imposter killer, Corey Cunningham, everything we heard about him. The radio tower was in there. Obviously, it didn't play a part based on all the massive speculation we heard, and that people were coming up with. But the radio tower was still in there. It's an interesting movie, and this is going to be talked about for a long time. There are people that think this is going to end up being kind of a cult classic, a la H3. There are people that think this is going to be as hated as Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. So, yeah, let's see what's going on in the chat, guys, and then we're going to get into a few things. We got Matt Kreider here, Diamond Rattler, Shape of Horror Podcast says, "Where's Bud? Where are you, Bud?" Shane Emerson, what's up, buddy? Scott Stevens, Siznak, what's up, everybody? We're going to start off. I'm just going to read what Matt has to say here, because he put this in before I went live, and I thought it was interesting. He said, "Hey, Nick, I just wanted to say something before it gets all crazy in here. I think there are two very basic types of Halloween fans. It's become very apparent to me today that I don't enjoy these movies because I'm a fan of Michael. I guess of anything, I go into each movie hoping I get to see him get whatever comeuppance that he's got coming after doing such horrible things." It's interesting. I think that will kind of be how you view this movie. Obviously, Michael was relegated to the side in this movie, to be nice. If you went into this movie expecting to see Michael versus Laurie, Michael kicking ass, essentially what they marketed it as, you're going to be disappointed. I was able to prepare myself a little bit for the Corey stuff based on, all the talk that we've had on YouTube, the plot synopsis that they put out. So it would have been interesting to see my experience with this movie if I was just going in blind, because I would probably be absolutely shocked. So I think horror kind of took a turn, especially slasher movies, in the mid 80s, early to mid 80s, and it kind of started with Friday the 13th, where eventually, everyone started rooting for the killer, right? In the first couple of Friday the 13th movies, you were rooting for the kids, likable characters that you want to survive. And then all of a sudden, people started, rooting for Jason. And in Friday the 13th Part 6, they did a good job, of going with that, speaking to the audience, speaking to the crowd. So yeah, if you came into this movie wanting to see Michael Myers go batshit crazy, Michael Myers and Laurie Strode battling it out, you're going to be very disappointed. And it's unfortunate because they really marketed the movie as that. And I know why they did that. I get it. Sell tickets. I totally understand that. But that wasn't the movie. And as much as I liked all the Corey Cunningham stuff, and I liked it a lot, guys. I really did. As much as I liked all that, this was the third movie of a trilogy. You gotta, park the car. You gotta land the plane. And in some respects, they didn't. So, it just seemed like an odd choice to me. It kind of, like I said, as much as I like it, it kind of reeked of Jamie Lee Curtis doing Jamie Lee Curtis things and having probably too much power to sway the narrative. She, and I don't know this for a fact, but I think we can safely assume that she was very into all the commentary at the hospital in Halloween Kills, right? And the commentary on that and the mob mentality and things like that. She wanted that message in the movie. Okay? And I think she wanted a message in this movie that, evil can be, born in multiple ways. That, a town can turn on this kid even after an innocent accident. The town can turn on this kid and essentially make him evil. Like, I thought that was a fascinating story. But it reeks of Jamie Lee Curtis wanting that in this trilogy. And it's certainly not how you would want to end this trilogy. Now, 5 years from now, and I'm going to get to the chat in a minute, guys. 5 years from now, I think we can take a step back and watch just this movie on its own, and I think it's going to be a damn good movie. I think it's a damn good movie right now. But it's not a damn good ending to a trilogy. It's not a damn good ending to the story of 1978. So it's such an odd feeling right now. Mixed emotions, at least for me. I've seen a lot of people that don't have mixed emotions because they just have pure hatred. And I get it, guys. I 100% get it. I said in my initial spoiler-free review when I got home from the movie that people are going to be burning their Michael Myers masks after this movie. That's an exaggeration, obviously, I think. But yeah, that type of anger seems to be real with Halloween fans. And you guys know Halloween fans. I'm one of you. But we are a passionate yet crazy breed. So when something like this happens, there's a lot of vocal negativity. And that's just the world we live in right now. So let's see what we got going on in the chat here. Siznak says, how are you going to make Michael the secondary character of his movie? Yeah, this would have been better as a movie that had nothing to do with Michael Myers, like Halloween 3, like the font. It's funny because Halloween 3 came out in 1982, right? And I've always said, back then we didn't have YouTube channels. We didn't have social media where people could get warned about the fact that Michael Myers wasn't in that movie. So it was a bomb, right? And it took years and years and years later for Halloween 3 to get any credit for what it was. So you think 40 years later, they would have used the fact that we had social media, that we have, all these YouTube channels. You think they'd use that to their advantage? Maybe they tried a little bit by releasing the plot synopsis with the first trailer, but it's almost like they might have wanted to, but the studio said, no, this is Michael versus Laurie. We got to get people in the seats opening weekend. And in that respect, you almost feel duped a little bit by the studio. I think if that's true, if they wanted to, warn people a little bit with the plot synopsis and say this is a different story and things like that, if they wanted to warn people a little bit and the studio interfered and said, no, we need to market this as Michael versus Laurie, as much as I get that, that's bullshit to the fans. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about the marketing, and it's a shame. It's a shame because, like I said, I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed the hell out of this movie both times I watched it, but I still think they duped the fans with the marketing. So, Shape of Horror podcast. Bud says my favorite scene was Michael and Corey killing the nurse and Dr. Mathis. Least favorite was the dance sequence. The dance sequence. Yeah, the nurse and Dr. Mathis was a cool scene. I wish it would have been drawn out a little more. And I thought from what we saw in the trailer that it would be. Essentially, the nurse goes to turn on the shower, like we saw. Hears a noise and goes and checks. And Corey's... Cool scene, though, by the way. Corey has Dr. Mathis in a hold with a bag over his head, just kind of like stabbing his neck or some shit. I thought that was a pretty cool scene. But then you obviously get her locking Corey out of the house, and then Michael comes from behind like we saw in the trailer, and then we get the homage to Bob's kill, which was cool. But yeah, that was a good scene. And yeah, the dance sequence was kind of ridiculous. I get it. They needed to show Corey having fun and Allison getting to let loose, and the fact that he never goes out in public because of this, because he gets berated. Then he just happens to run into the kid's mom, happens to be at that bar, which is pretty convenient. But yeah, I didn't like the dance sequence too much either. But I get it. Let's see what else is going on in the chat here. Scott Stevens says, I'd like to know why the radio tower was on fire. Yeah, I thought the same thing. And what was Allison's reaction to that fire? That's a good question. Was that like a kind of like a reference to Allison and Corey saying to Allison, let's set this town on fire or something like that, right? And he goes, I'll be the match or something like that. Was that it? And then she realized that it was Corey, maybe? I don't know. Shane Emerson says, my favorite part was Corey's arc and him killing with Michael. Yeah, I liked his arc too. I'm a big Christine fan, guys, so that's probably why I enjoyed this movie. But like I said, third act of a trilogy, not the best. Let's see what else we got here. Scott Stevens says, someone on Twitter had jokes saying that Kyle Richards gave the performance of a lifetime in Ends, even though Michael Myers and Lindsay Wallace had the same amount of screen time. Yeah, it was pretty close to the same amount of screen time, you're right, which was not much. Diamond Rattler says, if people wanted Michael vs. Laurie, they need to watch 2018. If they want to see Michael go crazy, they need to go watch Kills. And that's a fair point, Diamond. That's kind of my thoughts on this too at the moment. If I want to watch a Michael vs. Laurie movie, we got plenty of options, right? If I want to see Michael kicking ass in a non-Rob Zombie variety, I got Halloween Kills. And now if I want a different type of story about evil and things like that, I can watch this. So that's what I'm saying. Like in 5 years from now, this movie might have aged better when you watch it as a standalone, because you can just kind of pop in what you want. But when you're watching it as a trilogy, back to back to back, it's going to be very jarring. And like I said in the past, the fact that the same creative team is responsible for all of these movies in the trilogy is crazy. Because it just reeks of like some type of like Last Jedi, interference and shit like that. So it's kind of sad actually. But I agree with you, Diamond. I think it's going to age better, and I think it's nice that we can pop in different types of Halloween movies. Shane Emerson says the movie would have gone up probably half a star for me if we just got an extended battle with Michael versus Laurie at the end. Yeah, it clearly just felt shoehorned in, almost like okay, the Corey plot is resolved, dumbly by the way, but the Corey plot is resolved, and then oh shit, Michael Myers is still alive, and this is called Halloween Ends, and Laurie Strode's there. We gotta finish this up, and it It was kind of weird, but I like that they didn't do something that they've done in the past. Whether it's chopping his head off or fire or things like that. So at least they got a little bit creative with the way they defeated Michael. Scott Stevens says it took 4 writers to write this movie. Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. And the movie as a standalone movie, it doesn't show that there's 4 different creative people. It's very cohesive for the most part, at least Corey's arc and what they're doing. But they kept having to shoehorn Michael in. That's why, this movie would have been, I hate to say it, might have been better without Michael. Because they wouldn't have felt the need to throw these Michael parts in. Shape of Horror podcast says everyone in Haddonfield are assholes apparently. Yeah, there was no real good people other than the characters we knew. Ridiculous. Let's see. Allie says my opinion, H2O did it better. I hate to say it. Yeah, I think H2O was probably the best defeat or kill of Myers. Certainly, the most epic, chopping his fucking head off. It's pretty cool. Siznak says, Corey dies tonight. Corey dies tonight. Jake Blaster Productions. How you doing, buddy? Says, wait, Michael Myers was in this movie? Yeah, I can't wait to hear Jake Blaster's thoughts on this movie. I kind of have. Me, and Bud from the Shape of Horror podcast have been pretty in touch with our thoughts on it. But I can't wait to hear his thoughts. He may have an epic rant coming on his channel when he can here. Let's see what else we got going in the chat. Scott Stevens says, how dare they not have Lindsay Wallace walking with the townspeople at the end? She must have been taking care of the drunks at the bar. Yeah, that was odd. I was just talking to Bud about this the other day. Had to be scheduling, because if not, you got these random folks from 2018, even Julian's there, but you don't have Lindsay, who is in this movie. It's almost like they wrapped up filming and then realized, we got to get some of these townspeople, get shots of some of these townspeople. So I thought that was odd too. And just another thing that's just like, you're so detail oriented in this trilogy. Like it or not, they got a lot of the details of the franchise and the details of Myers, other than this movie, right. And then not to have Lindsay there, just it seems odd. Let's see here. Lizzie Mae, the Border Collie, what's up? Says, standalone, it's okay. My kids were like, Dad, this is Riverdale episode with Michael in it. I thought that was accurate. I've never seen Riverdale, but I know what that's a pretty good reference. Jane Monday says, what do you think they reshot? Ooh, that's a good point. If you remember, in June, everyone, myself included, was going nuts because they were doing reshoots. I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe it was the procession or whatever it was. Or the way they defeated Michael. I know that was obviously reshot in 2018. But yeah, that is interesting. We'll have to think about that. I hope we get some, backstory on this trilogy at some point. Whether it's 5 years from now, whether it's a couple years from now, 10 years from now, I don't care. It'll be fascinating to see some behind the scenes and stuff about this trilogy, because maybe in the next Taking Shape book. But it's just interesting that this movie was supposed to be originally the same night as Kills in 2018, and then they took a curveball. And like I've said countless times, guys, I'm sitting here bashing things, but I enjoyed my experience watching this movie. But I just think that they marketed it wrong, and that it was not a satisfying conclusion to the end of a trilogy. But I will be watching this movie a lot because I did enjoy it, and it's probably because, like I said, I'm a big Christine fan. Let's see. Shape of Horror podcast says they should have had Corey kill Lindsay. What do you guys think of that? And Lindsay was never in danger in this movie. what she was like, was she the bartender? I know she was doing tarot cards and shit like that, but every time we saw her, other than, that one time at Lori's house, I believe, she was at the bar and it looked like she was behind the bar. Was she the bartender? She might have been, because I think Allison ordered a couple drinks for her and Corey. Said, tonight I'm with him. Allison was odd in this movie, wasn't she? But yeah, Corey killing Lindsay could have been cool. It would have brought some emotional weight to the story too, because at this point, Lindsay and Allison are pretty close. So yeah. Let's see. Book of Acts says the movie started good, then Michael drags Corey into the sewer, and it's like, what the fuck is this wrestling match? Yeah, and the way the homeless guy is just sitting there and sees it, and then Corey comes out after Michael lets him live and looks into his eyes or soul or whatever. Before Corey kills him, he says, why do he let you live? He kills everyone. But why doesn't he kill the homeless guy? It's interesting. Is Michael too good to kill the homeless? What the hell's going on there? It just seemed odd. So yeah, I'm with you. Siznek says they reshot the hand into the disposal. Yeah. It's funny because when we saw the original trailer, it's kind of funny, kind of sad. But when we saw the original trailer, and then the Corey shit really came to light. They showed that scene where Michael was putting Lori's hand towards the garbage disposal, and then he's struggling to do it, and then Lori headbutts him, and I was under the assumption that was Corey. I was like, hold on, this is the same guy that took on that mob in Kills. There's no way he's struggling to put 65-year-old Laurie Strode's hand in a garbage disposal. I mean, plot armor, I get it. But no, that was Myers. He was just a weak old man in this movie, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm with you there. Jane Monday says, my other thought was, do you think they could come back with a movie to fill in the gap for those missed years? Maybe. I'll say this. I don't think they will. Because obviously we got 4 years there. We know what happened on Halloween night in 2019. The big news was Corey Cunningham. But maybe, if they would, I don't think it would involve Myers. Because with how weak he was in this movie, and then the stronger he got, shaking, the stronger he got for after killing a little bit, it tells me he hadn't really been killing, even though I know the homeless guy said he was dragging people in there once in a while. But I think if they did do something, and like I said, they won't. I'm fairly certain they won't. But if they did, they could tell another standalone type story. Because I liked the paranoia of the town of Haddonfield, right? When Laurie's starting to write the section of the memoir after the title sequence, they're showing bad things have happened in Haddonfield and people are scared. The cops mention, you think he's come back? The other cops, mentions he doesn't use guns or something like that. So everyone's scared because Myers disappeared. So they could tell some story in between those 4 years or 3 years after Corey, with something else, with the town being paranoid, and maybe there was, I don't know, something weird happens. But yeah, they won't. I think they're done. And I think if they wanted to do something else like this, I think that the results and the fanfare or lack thereof of what they did in this movie would be the nail in the coffin. Let's see what else we got going in the chat here. Shane Emerson says, Corey killing the band kids was brutal, and that blowtorch kill was my favorite of the movie. Yeah, that junkyard scene was awesome. Really fucking awesome. I couldn't believe that he killed the girl stuck under the fence, the one girl that was nice to him, the one girl that was telling her friends not to. I figured she was safe, and then I like that she goes, and now you're dead too. And then Corey comes from behind and then uses the blowtorch, and then he stomps her head like she was Sartain and he was Myers. I thought it was a little comical the way the one asshole, the main asshole band kid, had the shotgun and shot Corey's, was that his stepdad / boss or whatever? He stands up, no, boom, and gets shot. It was kind of, I don't know, a little tongue-in-cheek for me. A little too goofy, kind of like the nurse's kill with the gunshot to her own head in Halloween Kills. But it wasn't horrible. It didn't ruin the junkyard experience for me. But yeah, the blowtorch, the fact that they lit that blowtorch, and it was kind of out of view, but you could see it at the bottom. It was pretty badass. I liked that as well. The Shape of Horror podcast says Corey only killed people that wronged him or Allison, except for Darcy, the male girl. Yeah, except for the girl I just mentioned. Yeah, he clearly went out of his way to go track these people down, whether it was the band people. And when did band members become bullies? Man, things have changed since I've been at school. But yeah, he clearly went to the DJ, right, to go kill the DJ. Dr. Mathis and the nurse that got the promotion. Obviously, he saw the doctor being a dick to Allison, so he went specifically for them. And then at the end, he was, coming after Lori to make sure he could stay with Allison. So yeah, you were right there. Let's see. We got Drake Plays says the kills in this movie were pretty gory, especially with the blowtorch, and what an opening scene with that little kid. Yeah, we just talked about the blowtorch, and yeah, that opening scene, dude, I almost couldn't watch the kid fall when I watched it a second time, or fall, but not hit the ground. I mean, that's hard to watch. Maybe just because it's a kid or what, but that was set up fantastic. And I really, really wish, I really wish I could experience that scene without knowing what was going to happen. Because knowing the plot synopsis, we knew right when Corey showed up to babysit that the kid was going to die and Corey was going to accidentally kill him, right? We knew that. So once Corey was locked in there, you knew it was going to happen. Once Corey started going up the stairs, I was like, oh shit, that's right. They did show the mom looking up the stairs right at the beginning of the movie before they left for the party. So, you could kind of deduct that right away that was going to happen. But still, nonetheless, that was fucking brutal. And, it's part of the reason you kind of felt for Corey because, you saw what he was like before that, and then you saw, what he became and what, in some ways, the townspeople made him become. I thought that was a brutal scene. Matt Kreider, justice for Darcy, yes. Let's see. Lizzie May says, I wished Corey brought Michael to kill the band, kids, and DJ, etc., like helping Michael get his power back. Yeah, I'm still a little bit unclear on the Dr. Mathis and the redhead nurse kill scene. I was under the assumption that Michael had kind of been following Corey. Corey obviously got Michael some of his power back by bringing Michael, the douchebag cop, right? And then, Michael shows up. After Corey goes upstairs with Allison, you see Michael show up and watching Lori, which is a really cool, quick scene there, by the way, because he's standing next to a tree, just like the OG. But, so I was under the assumption that when Michael showed up at Dr. Mathis's house, that he was just kind of following Corey. But there's other people that have said, that Michael and Corey were going together, like a tag team. Maybe it's supposed to be up for interpretation. I don't know. But if it's the latter, if it's them being a tag team, it kind of ruins the scene for me a little bit. So I'm just going to keep thinking what I think. But yeah, that was a very cool scene. Allie, where are you? I just saw Allie have a comment. She was, did it seem like when Corey killed himself, that was like, did it seem like when Corey killed himself, that it was like, it was Michael making him do it? It seemed like he wasn't finished with his sentence when he stabbed himself. I didn't interpret it that way. I'll have to watch it again. But I will say that Corey, stabbing himself in the neck, I get the purpose it served, so Allison could walk in on it. It looked horrible for Lori. But I didn't like that. Lori was out of bullets. Corey could have killed her. and he stabbed himself in the neck. If I can't have her. So I didn't like the way that ended. That's my biggest gripe with the Corey storyline is just the ending. Everything else I loved about it, but no, Allie, I didn't interpret it that way. But that doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means that's not how I viewed it. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, sorry guys. Lizzie May says, I hate that Corey killed himself. Yep, I'm with you. Scott Stevens says, Corey was a bully to Old Man Myers. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Yeah, let's talk about that scene for a second. So, Corey needs Michael's mask. So he goes in the sewer, says, you got something I want. He kind of pushes Myers down. Ends up essentially tackling Myers and ripping his mask off. Didn't like that. And then they just had to get the sit-up in there. Okay? And that I'm fine with the sit-up in general. But while he sits up, when James Jude Courtney sits up, lit up like a goddamn Christmas tree is his maskless head. And I know you don't see a head-on shot of it or a straight-on shot of his face, but he kind of turns his head a little bit, and you just see that he's an old man. I don't need to see that. I know we saw it in 2018. I know we saw it in some extent in Kills. You're in the sewer. Just have it so you can't see his face or his head. Just have him sit up and all you see is the jumpsuit. Just have the rest of it in darkness because you're in the sewer. I just didn't like that. Michael being vulnerable. It's unnecessary to show. I get it. That's why I wish Michael wasn't even in this movie, to be honest. Jake Blaster Production says, I think Michael hopped on the back of Corey's bike. That has become a meme, and I guarantee that will continue to become a meme. Could you imagine if they filmed that? My God. My God. Maybe that's a deleted scene. Drake Plays says, it was almost funny how Corey just started wrestling Michael and then just ran off with his mask. Yeah, it was almost funny if it wasn't sad. It was more sad to watch, It's like, I don't know. It's like, knowing that like Shaquille O'Neal can't dunk anymore, or your favorite football player, your favorite quarterback of all time can't throw a pass anymore. It's kind of sad a little bit. Let's see what else we got going on here. Lizzie May says Michael was just getting his power back from Corey. He was already dying. Yeah, I think that's what they were going for. That, at this point, the mob scene at the end of Kills. Michael obviously gets up and kills them all, right? After just getting fucking destroyed, shot at point blank range, stabbed in the back or neck or shoulder or whatever the hell Karen did. So he kills them all in some crazy shot sequence, right? And then he goes and kills Karen in Judith's bedroom, right? And it seems like they're trying to say, okay, so the way I'm interpreting it is Myers won, and this, I guess, is an epilogue, and a kind of half epilogue, half new story, I guess. I don't know. But 4 years has passed. Myers, his hand is infected. He's old. He's probably eating skunks and rats and shit like that. He's a persona. He should be the personification of evil. He should be the shape. So yes, as much as I've been praising this movie, and I'm still gonna praise this movie because I just love the character study of what they did with Corey. The Myers stuff is the stuff that bothers me the most. Enough to ruin the movie, not for me, but enough to ruin the end of a trilogy, yes. So yeah, I'm with you there on the fact that we didn't really need to see old man Myers that can barely do anything anymore. It was interesting the way that when Corey was like, show me how or whatever, and he's holding the guy down and Michael starts stabbing him and then he's doing like a shake or something like that. So I thought that was interesting. Shape of War podcast says Corey and the kid were watching John Carpenter's The Thing Meta. Yes, and meta in a couple ways there. So you got the fact that it's John Carpenter, right? It's a John Carpenter movie. Easily one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Top 3 for sure. Maybe top 2. But it's a John Carpenter movie. And in the beginning of Halloween 1978, Lindsay Wallace is watching A Thing from Another World, which The Thing was remade. Loose remake on. So you got like the double whammy there with that, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I like that was a nice touch, I thought, of them watching The Thing. Mario, what's up, Mario? Says, movie was weak. Wasted Patton and Richard's characters. Corey tells Allison he killed someone and she doesn't even question it. Yeah, I thought Will Patton was a little wasted here. He looked pretty old, too. And Lindsay Wallace obviously had a very, very small role, which was expected, but I know a lot of people were disappointed by that. Corey telling Allison he killed someone. Yeah, I feel like he said that, and then it didn't bother me very much, but I get what you're saying. But he said it, and then they went to the house. So I think she interpreted it as, yeah, I know you did, and then he was like showing her. So it's kind of him admitting it, and then her thinking he's talking about something else, the other person he killed. So yeah, I get it though. Air 1986, what's up? Says, plot hole here. The bums knew Michael was in the hole. Should have went to the cops, no? Yeah, probably. I don't know if it's a plot hole other than like the bum didn't give a fuck for some reason, or the bum and Michael maybe made a deal. Maybe this. Maybe the bum and Michael played a game of cards under the bridge. Michael lost. Michael won, so the bum couldn't tell on Michael because they had a bet. Maybe it was that. Lizzie May says, yeah, it bothered me when Corey was screaming at him, get up, show me. Yeah, that's right. He did yell, get up, get up. Yeah, that was interesting. Let's see. Scott Stevens says, it would have been cool if they had actors from previous Halloween movies was dead in the end walking with the townspeople. Well, that would have been interesting. That would have been a nice touch. That would have been like a real big wink and a nod at the fans. But, yeah, you could have, the characters from Halloween 4, Halloween 5, Halloween 6, all the people a lot of people that he killed. Obviously, they'd have to pay them. So that could be an issue. They probably wouldn't have to pay a lot of them much because a lot of those actors and actresses probably aren't really working much anymore. But that would have been a nice little touch there. Jake Blaster Productions says, seeing Michael strapped to the roof of the car was as bad as seeing Michael's kneeling by the water fountain. I told you Jake Blaster just wants to fucking rant. The guy's just foaming at the mouth right now, I think. It didn't bother me very much, that scene. It didn't really bother me. I thought it was more I liked the symbolism of it. Is it something we need to see? Probably not. I get what you're saying, man. For me, it didn't bother me very much. It probably should, but for some reason it didn't. Zoe Crawford says, thoughts on the score. I wish they used the shape hunts Allison again. Well, let me answer the second part first. The shape hunts Allison's fucking awesome. I could listen to that all day long and just be pumped up. I listen to it at the gym a lot. But my thoughts on the score was, I thought the score was great. I thought there's some tracks in the middle, because it's a character study and there's not a lot of action, especially in the middle of this movie. Different type of score needed to be used. But I thought the theme was great. I thought the junkyard track, I think, is awesome. There's a track where when Michael's killing the cop, that's awesome. Yeah, I thought the score was very strong. This whole trilogy, the score's been strong. 2018 is probably my favorite score of the trilogy, but this is right up there with Kills and just a touch below 2018, which is not a knock because 2018's score is absolutely incredible. So I thought John Carpenter, Cody Carpenter, and Daniel Davies, I thought they knocked it out of the park as usual, and that is not surprising. Let's see. Lizzie May says you can't say bums anymore. It's not PC. Just kidding. Yeah, I'll probably be canceled. The bum community is gonna come after me. It's okay. Jane Monday says I just didn't understand how one can kill a whole mob and 4 years later can hardly move. Then if he was losing his power rather than drag people down, why wouldn't he be keep killing? Well, I mean, so I get the point that, he's old, right? Really old. Not only is he old, but he's got an infected hand. He took all those gunshots. He's probably got those bullets still in him. And 4 years have passed and he's weak, right? So, okay, I understand that. But what I don't understand is he's killing, and that gives him his power back, or starting to give him his power back, right? So that's all he needs to do is just keep killing, and eventually he'll become the shape again that we saw in 2018. But from 1978 to 2018, he wasn't killing, so he obviously wasn't getting strength from killing in that time frame. So yeah, things aren't really adding up as far as getting his strength back from killing. I think there's a lot of little things like that seem like good ideas in the movie, and then the fans like us start breaking it down, and it's just little things like that don't make much sense. Let's see here. Scott Stevens says, at least Lori wasn't drinking Chardonnay like in H2O, but straight up liquor in this one. Yeah, she's evolved now. I love that Chardonnay scene in H2O. She's still has it and asks for another one and just slams it. But yeah, she was drinking straight up liquor. Did you guys think she was going to kill herself? Or she killed herself? The first time I watched it, I did. I was like, my jaw was almost on the floor. I was like, whoa, this just went there? Over that? After everything she went through, and now Allison won't talk to her, and she's going to fucking blow her own brains out? I literally thought she did, and maybe that's probably just me. Maybe I'm alone in that, but I was like, holy shit. Jake Blaster says, H2O is better than ends there. I said it. I'm going to read that again. Jake Blaster says, H2O is better than ends. If you guys don't know, Jake Blaster is probably the biggest H2O hater I've ever met. I'm not a big fan of H2O, but this guy hates it. He's got videos on his channel breaking down why he thinks it is not a good Halloween movie. But he's saying it's better than ends. Wow. He also says, however, Rowan Campbell is better shape than Chris Durand. Yeah, that I agree with. I definitely agree with that. Back to the Crypt. What's up? Says, I just came back from seeing it. I don't really know how to feel yet. It was a mediocre movie with some horrible moments, but entertaining enough. Yeah, I think that reaction is going around. When I was leaving the theater, I got maybe, 15, 20-minute drive back home. And I was silent in my car. Just silent. Just trying to process everything. And, I kept saying, because like I've mentioned, a few times now, I actually liked this movie. I liked it a lot as a movie, not as, the ending of a trilogy, for those of you that are just tuning in before you guys attack me. But I kept thinking, I'm like, I like this movie, but I shouldn't, And why? Why did they do this in the third act of a trilogy? They did this. So... yeah, the not knowing how to feel, I think, is kind of everyone's initial thought on this movie, which is interesting. And it's not really what you want when you're closing out not only a trilogy, you're closing out this is 44 years in the making now. This is timeline number 25, or it's not 25, but it feels like it. So this was your shot, your last movie with Laurie Strode, who you're marketing the hell out of. This is it. Speaking of Laurie Strode, I very much liked her character in this, and I did not like her character in 2018. Kills, I know she was relegated to the hospital, and they tried giving her more of like a fancy talk, Loomis type role where she's talking about the evil and things like that. Speaking of fancy talk, real quick, plug, guys. Me and two other YouTube channels, Jake Blaster Productions and the Shape of Horror podcast. Check them out. We have a podcast, a weekly podcast. We're taking a little break right now called Fancy Talk, where we do a lot of rankings and shit like that. So make sure you check us out. But Laurie's character in this movie I thought was a lot more likable, a lot more real. She seemed like a grandma in this movie, not like Linda Hamilton preparing for World War III or whatever the hell it is. So yeah, I was a fan of Laurie for the first time in this trilogy, which was nice. Zoe Crawford says, you were spot on about the Hellraiser theory with Corey in your previous video. Yes, that's right. That's what I thought of that when I was watching the movie. I made a video a few weeks back when basically the picture of Corey standing in the sewer, standing like raised on somewhere, and Myers and what we now know as the cop, fighting, and Corey was standing there watching. So I made a theory where I was saying Corey's bringing Myers' victims, just like in the original Hellraiser, not the newest remake here, but the original one where the widow is bringing victims up to the attic for Frank to kill. I got something right. If you go watch a lot of my other videos, I got a lot wrong, but I got something right, guys. Good for me. I don't have to leave YouTube. Mario says they should have had Michael kill Laurie. That would have really shocked us. I'm guessing Jamie Lee Curtis didn't come back for that, and judging by the say that she had in this trilogy, I don't think that was probably ever really seriously on the table, unfortunately. But I'd be fine with it if executed well. Maybe the same exact thing, except for Myers does it to Laurie. He pins her on the table with a refrigerator and slits her throat and wrist. Allison walks in. Yeah. I'd be down for Laurie Strode dying. I actually thought that Laurie was going to sacrifice herself and her and Myers were going to die together. I'd be fine with Michael killing Laurie. Or I would have been fine with Michael killing Laurie. Shape of Horror podcast says, Nick, were you hoping your muffler was come loose too? Yes, he's giving me crap because I like Corey Cunningham. Mario says, how do you feel about Nick Castle's role? It's cute. A cute cameo, I don't really have a lot of thoughts on it, but I like that they did that for him. And Castle looks, so... first of all, we never really saw him in any of the Halloween movies, so, it's a nice touch to have him in there. I mean, we saw him, but, not his face. It's a nice touch to have him in there, and it doesn't, distract too much from the scene. He's the OG, man. He's the OG Myers. Like, he can have a cameo if he wants it. Scott Stevens says, when Michael was strapped to the roof of the car, you can see him moving. Really? I'll have to check that out again. Drake Plays says, I'm glad they didn't tie in the real world events like COVID or politics unless I just missed it. I don't think you missed it, and if you did, I missed it too, and I am ecstatic about that as well. That was a big concern, remember, a year ago, when we found out about the time jump, and I think it was Jamie Lee Curtis, maybe in Empire, or maybe it was David Gordon Green. They essentially said, it was gonna be in a post-pandemic world, and we all lost our shit, myself included. And if I saw COVID in this movie, I'd be like, come on. You realize, the last couple of years, we've had to see that shit and deal with that shit and deal with the news and social media and all that shit. I don't want to see it in a Halloween movie. They went another weird direction, obviously, but I'm done with COVID myself. So I was glad we didn't have to see it in this movie as well. Good point, Drake. Matt Kreider says, have a good night. You too, Matt. Thanks for stopping by. Scott Stevens says, when I heard Procession in the first time and hearing it in the end made me like it more. Yeah, me too. When I heard it the first time, I wasn't sure what they're doing, or what it could mean. I certainly didn't see Myers strapped to a car, but I knew it would be something like that probably. But yeah, I enjoyed that track. Scott Stevens says, when Laurie and Allison in the car at the end looked at each other and hold each other's hands, that was my favorite scene. Yeah, that was a nice touch. It was a nice moment, especially since they were essentially just kind of at each other's throats. They went through a lot and things like that. It was nice to see another human moment like that. So I agree, Scott. Allie says, I wanted them both to die, to be honest, by the end of this movie. Oh, probably. Yeah, I think you're referring to Michael and Laurie. Yeah, I would have been fine with both of them dying together. Lizzie May says, I liked Laurie in this one as well. Too bad the movie focuses on new characters and social commentary about how band kids are now bullies. Yeah, I guess regarding the social commentary, it didn't bother me too much in this movie. It bothered me more in Kills, and maybe it bothered me in Kills a lot more. Well, first of all, because it sucked, the social commentary part with the the mob mentality and shit. But maybe the reason it bothered me so much in Kills was Jamie Lee Curtis made some comment about how it was like the January 6th events at the Capitol, even though the kill scenes were filmed before that January 6th event happened. I'm not going to get into my thoughts on January 6th or any politics, guys. Don't worry. But the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis is bringing that up and saying that, she's basically telling us how we should read that scene, and that pisses me off. I don't like being told what to think about a scene. I don't like being told how to tie something into the real world. So that really pissed me off. So maybe unless I missed it, and I might have, but I didn't hear anything like that we were supposed to, compare some social commentary and ends to a certain real world event or a certain real world issue. So maybe that's why it didn't bother me. But I am with you that I don't want to see that shit in a Halloween movie. So yeah, I am completely with you on that. And as far as the band kids, yeah, it's mind-boggling to me that they had band kids instead of jocks being bullies. I thought it was always the jocks, man. Come on, 80s movies, it's always the jocks. I was a jock in high school and I was kind of a jerk, so I get that. I'm not proud of it, guys. I'm not proud of it. Let's see. Zoe Crawford says, I'm surprised we didn't get a Danny McBride cameo. God. Unless it was, if we got his death scene, that'd be cool. Well, it shows up as the dude from Eastbound and Down, and Michael or Corey or someone just comes and slits his throat. I'd be cool with that. Let's see. Jordan Burns, hey Jordan, says, why at the end when Hawkins and Strode were sitting outside did they have the camera go inside and start aiming at different rooms? What I took from that, Jordan, was they were showing the different rooms just like at the end of Halloween 78, except they were doing it without the breathing. And at the end of Halloween 78, they were showing us, all the places Michael had been, right? And then the evil's still out there. And here they're showing the rooms without the breathing, just silence. And I thought that was very symbolic. The mask being on Laurie's coffee table was a little odd. I was discussing that with some guys earlier today. But yeah, so that's what they were, in my opinion, that's what they were doing at the end with showing the different rooms. Let's see. Jake Blaster Productions says Ends is one of the best openings to a Halloween movie in the franchise. I agree. So let's think of some of the openings here in the franchise. So the OG, obviously, great opening. And especially at that point, we don't know that it's a 6-year-old boy that the POV shot is following. Halloween 2 is essentially a recap of Ends with the you don't know what death is, and then the new theme kicks in. Pretty fucking good. Halloween 3, another good opening. I think Ends is better than 2 and 3, though. Halloween 4, if we're talking about the opening credits, fucking amazing. If we're talking about the opening, Myers escaping from the ambulance, another good scene. Although I know people love the thumb in the forehead kill, but I've never been a big fan of it. Halloween 5, Michael's floating down a river. That's obviously the best opening in the franchise. I'm kidding, by the way, guys. Halloween 6, Jamie's all of a sudden pregnant and having a baby. I mean, Myers showing up and killing the nurse in the hallway is cool, but yikes. H2O was a good opening. Resurrection is an okay opening. Laurie dying, whatever. And then, 2018's opening, the Say Something! And then Kills opening, if you count the flashback. Whew, that's good. But yeah, this opening is definitely, probably, well, for sure top 5. Probably top 3 if I really broke it down. That's a good idea for a video right there. Best openings in the franchise. Need to think about the criteria though, because how long? Like, it does a flashback count. We have to think about that. But that's a good idea for a video right there. Air 1986 says, I'm glad the lady survived Kills. Makes me believe Corey could have survived from 18. From 18. I think you mean from Ends. But the lady from Kills, are you talking about the Sandra, I think her name was, the graveyard keeper from 18? I wouldn't say I'm glad. For me, I know you are. I'm not putting words in your mouth, Air 1986. But for me, I wouldn't say I'm glad that she survived. But I thought it was important to show that scene outside the grocery store. Laurie walks out with a huge smile on her face because she just got done acting like a little schoolgirl with Frank in the grocery store, right? And then you have Sandra sitting there, and her sister is there saying, why are you smiling? Why are you smiling? And Laurie's like, excuse me? Laurie says, I'm sorry. And she goes, oh, you sorry. You sorry. I can't remember what she said, but she essentially says, like, you should have left him alone. And now she can't, now my sister can't talk and her husband's dead. And that just, it made Laurie see the weight of what happened. Laurie's trying to move past it. She is trying to move past it, but it's still there, and, it's not Laurie's fault that happened to her neighbors, but she feels responsible. So I get it, and I thought that is very real what they did there, because if you know someone that's been brutally hurt, or someone that lost someone, they need people to blame. It's human nature, and seeing Laurie with a big smile on her face like that, coming out of the grocery store when the person, your sister, is miserable because of what happened, and just a beaten down person that can't even talk. I thought that was real, and I thought it helped Laurie's character seeing that. Let's see what else we got going on in the chat. UP. UP. I'm probably butchering that, so I apologize. In Ends, we see Michael Myers so weak, but in Kills, Michael killed a whole mob, so it should make him stronger, no? Because Laurie said the more he kills, the more he transcends. Interesting. So, once again, I apologize if I butchered your name. That's a good point. So, and what we saw in this movie, he kills one person and he starts to get his strength back, right? So he killed, I don't know how many people that night. Not even just the mob scene, that whole fucking night. The firefighters, everything from 18. He killed all those people. Shouldn't that make him strong for like 50 years? So yeah, that's a fair point. Let's see. Scott Stevens says Lindsay Wallace's nose ring was bigger and noticeable from Kills to Ends. Well, let me tell you guys something. Scott Stevens loves Lindsay Wallace, don't you, Scott? So I'm not surprised that you noticed that detail on her. I did not, but now I'm probably going to notice it every time I watch this movie. And then he says at the end's premiere we had Jamie Lee Curtis and Danielle Harris photo op. Yeah, I saw that. They also had a couple of Nightmare on Elm Street, like Heather Langenkamp and Amanda Weiss, and I think Scout Taylor Compton. We're all in a photo together. It was kind of cool. Lizzie May says, but if Michael was actually in the house in the opening, it would have been even better. Still happens the same, but Michael is in the house. That'd be interesting. You see, all of a sudden, you see Michael's shoulder or something watching or something, like Michael was going to do something. And then he sees that happen to Corey. it'd be more believable than him looking into Corey's eyes and seeing it happen, which for some reason happened. Yeah. Let's see here. Low Body Fat says Corey should have been the first character to die in this movie. Well, then there'd be no movie, my friend. But yeah, I totally get that hatred. I personally enjoyed what they did with Corey, but not for, like I said, not for the third part of a trilogy. So like I said, anyone that hates this movie with a passion, if that's you, if you hate this movie with a passion, I get it, guys. I completely understand. There are certain things where if I really like something, I can look at someone else that might hate it and be like, I don't understand how you hate this. Not with this movie. Like I said, I like this movie, but I get the hatred. I get it. They duped us. They fucking duped us, and this is not how you end this trilogy. I get it. 100% Low Body Fat. I get it. This movie was crap, he says. Yep. I get it. Ellie says, gotta go. Have a good night. Bye, Ellie. Jordan Burns says, I honestly think the Halloween Ends theme is one of the best, maybe even top 3. Yeah, I thought it was good too. I need to listen to it a little more. I'm a big fan of the Halloween 2 theme. There's some nostalgia there too, because Halloween 2 is my favorite sequel, and I remember watching it growing up. But I think, as much as I love the movie Halloween 4, and I do love it, not only does the mask in that movie suck, but the theme is not very strong in my opinion either. Same with Halloween 5. I'm not a big fan of those themes. But this theme was good. Like I said, Kills is good. 18's fantastic as far as themes go. UP says, we didn't see Corey die. I mean, he saw Michael in the eyes and he got stronger, so he must be invincible, right? We didn't see Corey die. I mean, he saw Michael's eyes and he got stronger, so he must be invincible, right? I interpret it as Michael killed him at the end. So yeah. Low Body Fat says Corey beats up Michael and takes his mask. Pathetic. Like I said, I mentioned this earlier. I was not a fan of that scene. Michael, you can't be showing Michael being, manhandled by some kid. No matter what state Michael is in, and they obviously made it so Michael is in a state where he's a beaten down old man. I don't know why they thought people would want to see that. But no matter what state Michael is in, you can't have some kid come and kick his ass and take his mask, So yeah, I get that, Low Body Fat. I'm with you there. Scott Stevens says, I like how Laurie had a pic of her and Annie and Linda hung up in the kitchen. Yes, I enjoyed that too. I thought that was a nice touch. It's little things like that I think 2018 was really missing. They referenced 78 a lot, but they showed Judith's grave in 18, but it's nice to get Linda and Annie some screen time there, even if it's just a picture hanging up on the wall. Chubbs says, Nick, it's Misty. Hey, what's up, Misty? Says, I literally just finished the movie. What did I just watch? That is the consensus, Misty. That is the consensus. Everybody has left the theater and been perplexed. There's a lot of people that hate this movie, and I get that, and there is a lot of people that are okay with it, and I get that too. But yeah, as far as this movie Halloween Ends, like I said, it was marketed as Michael vs. Laurie, the ending of this trilogy, the ending of everything tied to 78, and they wanted to tell a different story. I think this would have been great as a separate story. Or what do you guys think of this? If this was the second movie in the trilogy, so let's say 18 ends the same way it ends. Michael, the house being set on fire and the trap being set, and then they have a time jump 4 years later, and Michael is presumed dead, but people aren't convinced. And then this Corey thing happens, and then Michael shows up, and Corey gives him his strength back because Michael's been hiding after barely escaping Laurie's house. And then this movie ends with Michael killing Corey, and then you see Michael and Laurie, like Laurie seeing Michael or something like that, and then Halloween Ends starts with that, and then essentially Kills is the third movie. Obviously you have to tweak some things, but you have the Corey story in the middle, and the Kills story for the most part at the end. It might have been a better way to do it. Obviously, it wouldn't work on the same night, and the time jump, and there's a lot of things that wouldn't work with it. But I think narratively, it would probably be better. Certainly be much more received to end it that way. Let's see here. Shane says, Blaster, I like you, man, but no way in hell is H2O better than Ends. I agree, Shane. I agree. Give him hell. Chubb says, I've never seen that. I've never seen anyone drive their trash can to the end of the driveway and bang the hell out of it with a stick. I've never seen that. That is my favorite horror comedy that she is referencing, guys. That is The Burbs. I fucking love The Burbs. Great movie. You says, if you are the director for the next Halloween movie, how would you make Michael Myers back alive again in this specific timeline? Well, I would have a spaceship come down to Earth 200 years in the future, and they use the same technology they used to make Uber Jason after they pick up some scrap from the junkyard and Michael comes back. That's literally like the only way you could do it, because he's in a fucking grinder. It's just not possible. I mean, not only were they specific enough to put him in a grinder, but because they didn't want us to think that they could be pulling some type of H2O switcheroo, they had his mask off. So they really made sure there was some finality to this. Low Body Fat says, this movie is really Christine. Michael is the car and Corey Cunningham is Archie Cunningham. Yes, they have the same last names, just lazy writing. It essentially is Christine. David Gordon Green said, I can't remember when it was, but it was a while back, like maybe February or March, maybe January. But he basically said, it might be a little too Christine, and I know we kind of joked around, what does that mean, okay, I didn't think it'd be this Christine. And I'm a huge Christine fan, guys, a very big Christine fan. It's one of my favorite Carpenter movies. Essentially Michael is the car and Corey is Archie. Even the same down to like the glasses, where Archie Cunningham and Christine starts out with glasses, and halfway through the movie all of a sudden he's not wearing glasses anymore because Christine the car is turned him evil essentially. Similar situation here. Obviously Corey's glasses were broken by the band bullies, but yeah, interesting. Jordan Burns says, I felt really bad for Corey when he killed himself. I was just sad and wasn't expecting him to do that. I wasn't expecting him to do that either, at all. It bothered me that he killed himself because the payoff really didn't hit it for me. But yeah, I wouldn't say I felt bad for him, but it sucked for him seeing the kid he was at the beginning, doing well in certain things, and all of a sudden, he's just like when him and Allison are arguing on the streets, he's like, he can't even show his face in public and things like that. So I'm with you there. Lizzie May says, I'm happy y'all liked the movie and what they did with Myers. I respect everyone's opinion. I felt dirty and betrayed. David Gordon Green basically ripped off Christine, Hellraiser, Butcher Baker. I've never seen Butcher Baker. Like I said, I understand feeling dirty, betrayed, lied to. I understand all of that. I think that is a pretty human emotion to be feeling when it's marketed the way it was marketed. And like I said before, I 100% understand why the studio chose to market it the way they did. Sell tickets, right? I mean, it's a fucking business. But just because I understand why they did it doesn't mean I think it's right. I think it 100% is bullshit. And I think it's causing a chain reaction that is really hurting the franchise. Because I think if you marketed this movie the way it was, like what this movie actually was, if they told people what it was, and they tried a little bit with the synopsis, they tried a little bit, but if they marketed this movie better, so people, like I knew what I was getting into, a lot of you knew what you were getting into, maybe not the full extent, but if general audience didn't, if they marketed it that way, I think it would have a better reaction from critics, a better reaction from, the general movie-going audience. Like I said earlier, Halloween 3 didn't have the advantage of having the internet, of having, obsessive YouTube channels and things like that, social media. It didn't have that advantage. So when people went to see Halloween 3, I mean, they were shocked. You're starting to get a similar reaction here. And there's no fucking excuse. There's no excuse. I'm just guessing here, like I said earlier, I'm just guessing. But I think it was studio mandated that, they weren't allowed to tell any more than they gave in the synopsis. And I think they did that a little bit just to prepare people. But it should have been marketed different. That's not David Gordon Green's fault. So certain creative decisions are definitely David Gordon Green's fault. But the marketing, I think it was studio mandated. Just a guess. Like I said, I have no proof. It's just a guess. Let's see what else we got going on in the chat here. Drake Plays says, even though he had his throat and wrist slit, I was expecting him to make one last stand at the junkyard. Not really the same mob scene from Kills, but something close to it. So I was not expecting that, but let's just think that through. So they're taking him in the car, and yes, that'd be interesting. Laurie goes to push him in. Actually, that brings up something Bud from the Shape of Horror podcast said. He showed me something where someone said, and I'm stealing this, guys, so I'm not claiming this as my own, so if somebody says I'm saying this is my idea, I'm not. But he essentially said, and I'm paraphrasing, that Laurie is going to push Michael in. Michael grabs her by the throat or something, and Allison comes with a gun, or the people start beating on Myers, and Laurie tackles Myers into the grinder, and they both get grinded up. That would be fucking crazy. Jesus, could you imagine that? I mean, there'd be a lot of people, a lot of Jamie Lee Curtis haters that would love to see that. But yeah, that would have been crazy. Let's see here. Apollo Prime, what's up? Says they did Michael and Corey dirty as hell. Corey should have disappeared before the credits rolled. Felt weird the way they killed him off. Yeah, like I said, it just felt abrupt. Stabbing himself in the throat, and it's like they just needed that for Allison to walk in on Laurie with a knife and Corey lying there essentially dead. Yeah, the payoff of the whole movie being this character study on Corey, and then that is your payoff to that character. Didn't like it. And it's like they had to do it maybe not only for the Allison scene, but because it's like, oh shit, we need Myers and Laurie to fight. So, Corey, kill yourself. Yeah, Scott Stevens, it took Haddonfield 10 minutes to show up at Laurie's house after the suicide call. Yeah, no shit. No shit. Chubb says, Misty says, okay, but why does Corey look like her ex-boyfriend? Oh, does it look like Cameron? Yeah, with the curly hair. He does, kind of. I guess Allison has a type. Although, for some reason, why was she dating that cop who was like 30 years older than her? That was weird. Low Body Fat says, Halloween 2018 was amazing. Kills was a mess, but still very entertaining. This movie I put right next to Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. There are a lot of people that will agree with you, Low Body Fat. A lot. That's what I'm seeing. I personally don't feel that way. I get it though. Like, I completely get it. But I'm in the minority here. But yeah, I know there's a lot of people out there that feel that way. Lizzie May says Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker. It's an 80s slasher that's bad good. It's on YouTube for free, by the way. Everyone should watch it once. I'm intrigued. You says if Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills would be a single movie, it would be a great movie. Yeah. I'm trying to think how that would work. It'd just be too long. But yeah, I mean, there's certain aspects of Kills that I fucking loved. Mostly the Myers scenes and the flashback. The hospital shit I couldn't stand. I still can't stand. I fast forward the hospital shit, like literally, and I never do that to a Halloween movie. I like the small minor moments, learning stuff about the characters, but I won't do that hospital shit like at all. Low Body Fat says, I don't think David Gordon Green was prepared to go beyond 2018. That was actually the perfect ending for his story, but Hollywood greed took over. Hollywood greed always takes over and it always wins, and who is screwed? Fans that want a complete story, you know. The fact that there's 13 Halloween movies is just insane to me. For a movie that was just supposed to be a standalone movie, right? Everyone thinks that when when Loomis looks over the balcony and Myers isn't there, that it's supposed to, set up a sequel. It was driving home the message of the movie. But yeah, I mean, the more movies in this franchise we get, the more weird shit we're gonna get. That's just the way it is. It's unfortunate, but it just shows that, the story of Michael Myers, has an expiration date before either it's the same movie every time or you gotta add shit in there. Like I said, I liked the Corey stuff. I just didn't like it as the third part of a trilogy. So I get that. Shape of Horror podcast says she was dating the cops because of daddy issues. Yeah, maybe the cop liked putting peanut butter on his penis. Who knows? Drake says, all we were missing is die. Yes, God. Oh, from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. God, that is... that is so brutal. Ooh, Scott Stevens with a good point that I did not notice. The officer who was killed by Michael at the credits said it was Officer Mulaney. You guys remember the Mulaney's? They were in Halloween Kills. They were the kind of asshole kids at the beginning that were bullying Lonnie. Kind of the O'Doyle rules of the trilogy. I did not catch that. No wonder he was a dick. Allison was fucking that guy? Jesus. Man. Let's see. You says, how do you think David Gordon Green would make The Exorcist? Well, we're going to find out. We are definitely going to find out. I like The Exorcist. I think it's a great fucking movie, especially for the time. And The Exorcist 3 is a pretty damn good movie too. But there's just been so many exorcism movies, whether it's The Exorcism of Emily Rose or just everything, and now it's CG and shit like that. I just don't know how you make a movie, make The Exorcist be different than The Exorcism of this or The Exorcism of that. Make it stand out. I mean, it has to. It's The Exorcist, right? So I don't know how David Gordon Green's going to do it. Now that he's maybe unshackled from Jamie Lee Curtis's creative decisions, maybe it'll be great. I guess we'll see. 3 movies I think they're signed up for, right? It seems like a lot. But we'll see. I hope they, if they do keep anything from the original, I hope it's the journey of the priest, and I hope we get some good character studies with the priest and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know how The Exorcist will be. But like I said, we're gonna find out. Keith's in the house. Keith says Michael Myers will be back. If not, there is no franchise. Oh, he definitely will be back. I agree, Keith. At this point, Michael Myers is Frankenstein, Wolfman, Dracula. He's essentially a universal monster. Michael, Freddy, and Jason, they'll be back. Michael will be back in some incarnation, whether it is a reboot, whether it's a remake, whether it's the next term that Scream 6 is probably going to talk about. Myers will be back, just not in this timeline. For better or worse. Probably for better, to be honest. But they did some good things. It's not all negative. Let's see. Keith says there was a police officer wearing a mask in Ends 2. Was there? A police officer wearing a mask? When? Are you talking about at the end, Keith, or was it at the beginning when Laurie is kind of writing or the voiceover with her memoirs? I'm trying to think. I'll have to keep my eyes out for that. Scott Stevens says I like The Exorcist, and Ellen Burstyn's 90 years old filming another Exorcist movie. Yeah, that's crazy. There's just so many exorcism movies, like I said, that it's hard to distinguish yourself and call yourself, The Exorcist. Because that was, the first one. What year did that come out? Like 73? I'm probably way off on that. But yeah, the original Exorcist is great. Low Body Fat says the only kill that was original was the disc jockey. All others were done before, ripped off from other movies. The blowtorch kill was from Friday the 13th, Part 5, done by Imposter Jason. That's right. Imposter Jason did do that. I still like the blowtorch kill though in Halloween Ends. I thought it was cool. And the DJ kill, then fucking cut his tongue off. That was And then the pizza on the record player was a nice touch. But yeah, that cutting the guy's tongue off. But yeah, I haven't really sat and thought about each kill in this movie and being done before, but I'm not surprised if none of them were super original. Keith says it's about 45 minutes in. Okay, Keith, thank you. I'm gonna look for that now. Probably before I go to bed tonight, I'll fast forward to 45 or 40 minutes in and start watching a police officer wearing a mask. Huh. Interesting. Where do you guys want to take the franchise after this? I'm gonna go maybe another. What time is it? 11:20. I'm gonna go another. We'll see. Maybe 10 or 20 minutes. We'll see. But where do you guys think they should go with the franchise after this? Reboot it. I've heard sequels to Halloween 4. Do you want a sequel to Halloween 5? I don't know. Maybe you want Rob Zombie's Halloween 3. Who knows? Yeah, for me, I would probably. Obviously, I'd probably wait years before I touch the franchise again. Let it rest. If you do a movie in 2 years, there's not going to be the excitement. If you wait 6 years, and I know the 50th anniversary is coming up, guys. I know that. That is 6 years away, right? Yeah. If you wait 6 years, and you reboot it, you'll have a little excitement actually. Shape of Horror podcast, great show, man. See you on the next one. Thanks, bud. Talk to you later, buddy. Jordan Burns says the radio kill was brutal. I don't know if Michael would have done that. Yeah, I don't know if Michael would have done that either. I don't know if Michael could even operate a scissors. Obviously he can. But yeah, I thought that was brutal too. It was like, ugh. That DJ was an asshole anyway. You says, did you enjoy the Corey and Allison relationship? But for me, it was trash. At first I did. So I think when Laurie brings him in to where Allison works at the hospital or doctor's office, whatever the hell it was, I think Allison saw him, thought he was cute, and saw that he was a victim just like her. And I don't think she felt sorry for him, but she felt like he is someone she could connect with on that level. And then she obviously is into him because she goes to the junkyard and says, I don't care about the car. I came to see you. In a very, like, aggressive, like, flirtation, And then ever since then, she was all about the Corey. Yeah, I didn't buy the fact that later on in the movie, she was, so into him that, she was ready to leave town, burn it all to the ground, as they say. She was ready to, risk her relationship with her grandmother. That's the part that I didn't buy. But the beginning of it, yeah, I was fine with it. But I just didn't like where they took it. And, from what we saw, Allison, wasn't some meek girl in the last 4 years. She was dating the cops, she was dating other guys. So what makes Corey so different that, she would just decide to, do rash things like, leave town with him when she essentially still barely knows him. She's known him for days only. So yeah, that part, you got to suspend your disbelief a little bit. Low Body Fat says H4 sequel. And Jordan Burns follows up with, I want Jamie Lloyd back. That is a popular opinion. And I'll tell you this, Danielle Harris would be all about it. All about it. She is itching to get back in this franchise. Itching to be relevant again. And I love Danielle Harris. And I get the fact that H4 sequel could be interesting. Mainly because, if you start after H4, you don't have to worry about the fact that Rachel's dead, so you can get Ellie Cornell back. And H4 ended with Jamie killing her stepmom. I know in Halloween 5 they say she just attacked her. They say her stepmom survived. But Halloween 5 wouldn't exist, right? So you could essentially go with the fact that she killed her stepmom. And, how did her and Rachel deal with that after? Was she locked up like Myers? Was Loomis treating her? He obviously was going to blow her brains out. But yeah, you could play with a lot of interesting things there. Now it's over 30 years later. Maybe she's a mother herself, and, Myers comes back for her kid, maybe. I don't know. And Rachel could be, Aunt Rachel's there. There's a lot of different possibilities with that. I still don't think they will do that. I think they'll either go Halloween 3 route. Maybe what they did here will show them that they can do more anthologies. Maybe not. As long as they market it that way. But I think there's possibilities with anthologies. I just don't think H4 is going to happen. A sequel to H4. And if you're going to do a sequel to H4, I think now is probably the time. When Danielle Harris is in her, I don't know how old she is, but she can play someone, in her early 40s, and well, otherwise, you wait any longer and it's going to be we're back to Halloween 2018, just with Jamie Lloyd now. So yeah, but I'm with you on H4. I think that's probably the best option. Let's see. Gonna go just a little bit longer, guys. Drake says Corey came to her at night, cut and bruised up, almost having a mental breakdown, and Allison relaxed him. Yeah, she certainly did. And then Laurie sees Corey going up the stairs with Allison, and that's when you get that cool scene of Michael standing by the tree watching Laurie, and she turns and he's gone. I liked that. Here's a question for you guys. What did you think of Laurie noticing the evil in Corey right away? So you get that cool scene where Laurie hears Corey's motorcycle pulling up, and then she looks out the window and Corey's standing there kind of like staring at her right by a hedge bush, which is cool as hell. But Laurie looks in his eyes, and she's just kind of staring at him weird, like, and you as an audience know that she knows something's up. What do you guys think of that? That she could see that right away? Because I'm mixed on it. I'll tell you what I did like, though. I did like when she is telling Lindsay about that. Lindsay goes, I need you to meet someone. And then there's the kid's father that Corey accidentally killed. And he tells a story about how he was going to talk to Corey and he noticed, that it wasn't the same kid. When he looked in his eyes, it wasn't the same kid that used to mow his lawn and stuff. I liked that. I thought that was a nice touch. I liked the fact that the mother blamed Corey, but the father said, I want to prove my wife wrong, that it was an accident, and that he kind of forgives him. I liked that human element to the story. You says, I was introduced to Michael Myers from Death by Daylight. Been a fan since. That is cool. That's cool that they can put Myers in a game like that, and it can create a new fan. That's awesome. We all come from different parts of our fandom. Some people have seen this franchise from the beginning. Some people, I know there's some people that watch my channel that, saw Halloween 1978 in the theater. I'm jealous, by the way. And in the theater on its original run. I saw it in the theater a couple of years ago, and it was great. But there's other people that were introduced in Halloween 2 and then Halloween 4. A lot of H2O. H2O introduced a lot of people to the franchise. And now we got 2018, this timeline. And now Death by Daylight is introducing the character of Myers to and creating new fans. I think that's cool that we all have different experiences. And what that does, though, is it makes people's lists pretty interesting. So for me, I have a lot of nostalgia with like Halloween 2. I saw the original when I was really young, and then I saw Halloween 2, and Halloween 2 kind of made me scared of hospitals. And I remember seeing it with my grandma. And it just brings up a lot of nostalgia with me. So there's other people that have nostalgia with seeing Halloween H2O, right? So I think it's really cool that we all have different experiences, different nostalgia when it comes to certain movies in the franchise. Creates a lot of debate, creates a lot of fucking arguments, but it's all in good fun as long as we're civil about it, and as long as you can admit that, hey, this isn't the best Halloween movie, but it's my favorite, or I love it because because of this or that, So I think that's really cool that Dead by Daylight or Death by Daylight, whatever it's called, has introduced a whole new set of fans to the franchise. D-Man W says they need to remake H5 and 6. Don't think it'll happen, but I'd be fine with that because we wouldn't have to worry about watching Halloween 5. And then Halloween 6 has a lot of great things going for it. The atmosphere, I think Myers is decent, but it's probably got the worst story in the franchise. And that, say what you want, but that story is a bigger mess than anything in the David Gordon Green trilogy. I think a lot of people would be cool with remaking it. Let's see what else we got here. Back to Crip says, for me, Kills 2018 ends. I think that'll probably be the second most popular opinion. I think most people will be right in order. It'll be 2018 Kills and ends. I'm still marinating my thoughts on that. I'm gonna have a ranking video hopefully tomorrow. Depends how immersed I get watching football tomorrow. But I'm gonna try and get a ranking video out. But I gotta kind of get my thoughts together, especially on where this movie falls for me. Jordan Burns says, I knew after the first immediate contact when Corey and Michael met, something was going to happen, and Corey being a big part, it was going to change him. Yeah, not only was it teased, but when Michael grabbed him and looked in his eyes, we saw the flashes of Corey killing that kid, and essentially everything that Corey getting bullied, and essentially everything that Corey went through. It's not like Corey saw all Michael's victims. Michael saw what Corey was going through, and it definitely changed him. That's for sure. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. I didn't like that part of it. I would, like I said, I would have rather just seen Corey's descent into madness, without the whatever kind of connection he had with Myers. But excuse me. But yeah, that's the direction they went with it. You says special thanks to Michael Myers for 10 minutes screen time. Yeah, that's being generous too. I wonder what his screen time. Excuse me, guys. I wonder what his screen time in this movie was. Oh, I wouldn't even know what to guess. This is an hour and 51-minute movie, I believe, too. Yeah, I bet you it wasn't even 10 minutes. And that probably includes, the procession of his dead body and everything. I bet you it was like 7 minutes, maybe 6. Crazy, huh? For Halloween Ends, crazy. But like I said, I'm just gonna wrap up my kind of final thoughts here, guys, and then I gotta call it a night. Like I said earlier, when I first got on stream tonight, I liked this movie a lot. I don't know where it's gonna fall in the franchise. Probably somewhere in the middle, but I liked it a lot. But my issue is the fact that they closed out the trilogy with this story, and then the marketing of the movie. Like I said, I was lucky enough to have a little bit of a heads up going in. A lot of us were that watched YouTube and stuff like that, but a lot of people didn't, and they're wondering what the fuck, man. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. This is not how you end this story. Now, I think years from now we're going to look back and there's going to be some time we're in the mood for this Corey story, and sometime we're in the mood for Halloween Kills and 2018. That's what's going to be cool about this franchise is when the dust settles we got 13 different movies to choose from. But this trilogy as a whole is a jumbled fucking mess made by the same creative team, which is just crazy, just absolutely crazy. Yeah, it's unfortunate because I feel like they blew a golden opportunity here, where we actually had the same team for 3 movies. The same team for 3 movies. They could have told some epic shit and just really done that. And in some ways they did. But coherently as a group, it's 3 starkly different stories. And unfortunately, as a whole trilogy, it just misses the mark. Now, there are much worse movies in this franchise. Halloween 5, Halloween Resurrection, and I know they have their fans. I'm not one of them. I'm not even an H2O fan. But like I said, at least we can say we have another Halloween movie to watch. And I like the Cordy stuff. I really do. I just thought the Myers stuff was shoehorned in. And yeah, it's not how I would have ended the trilogy. But that's it for me, guys, tonight. I appreciate all of you tuning in. I appreciate you guys talking in the chat. You guys make this a lot easier when you're as active as you are. So that's it for me. I will see you guys next time. Have a great night, everyone.